You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, not because you're lazy, not because you don't care, but because right now it feels easier to wait. You scroll a little longer, you overthink a little more, you prepare instead of begin, and somehow weeks pass. You don't fail loudly, you just quietly delay your own life. Why does your brain keep choosing short-term comfort over long-term growth? And more importantly, is this really a discipline problem, or is something deeper happening beneath the surface? The habit doesn't look toxic at first. It looks responsible. You research before acting. You plan before starting. You wait until you feel ready. But readiness never arrives, so you stay in preparation mode. You consume self-improvement content. You imagine the future version of yourself. You tell people, I'm working on it. But internally, something feels off. There's a quiet guilt that follows you, a low-grade anxiety, a subtle erosion of self-trust. Every time you delay action, your brain records it, not as a neutral event, but as evidence. Evidence that you don't follow through. Over time, your identity begins to shift from someone with potential to someone who almost tries. This is not random. In behavioral psychology, this pattern is closely tied to avoidance coping, a strategy where the brain reduces discomfort by postponing the source of stress. You don't avoid because you're incapable. You avoid because your nervous system detects threat, and it reacts. But what exactly is it protecting you from? You are not broken. You are adapted. Your brain evolved to prioritize survival over growth. Thousands of years ago, hesitation kept humans alive. If something felt uncertain or risky, caution was intelligent. Today, the threats are different. They're social, emotional, psychological. Starting that project risks failure. Speaking up risks rejection. Trying seriously risks discovering your limits. So your brain treats potential embarrassment like physical danger, and it quietly pulls you back. The habit that's limiting you once protected you, but now it's misfiring. And until you understand the mechanism, you'll keep fighting yourself instead of working with your brain. So let's look at what's really happening inside your head. There's a simple loop driving this behavior. Cue, discomfort, nor avoidance, nor relief, reinforcement. It's a negative reinforcement cycle. Here's how it works. You think about starting something important. Your brain simulates possible failure. This activates the amygdala, the threat detection system, even if the threat is just imagined. Your body feels tension, doubt, restlessness. To reduce that discomfort, you delay. You check your phone. You reorganize your desk. You tell yourself you'll begin later. Instantly, anxiety drops. That relief is the reward. And dopamine, often misunderstood as a pleasure chemical, reinforces whatever action reduced discomfort. Not what's good for you, what's relieving. Imagine your brain like a smoke alarm. It doesn't measure real danger. It reacts to perceived smoke. The problem? It's hypersensitive. And instead of teaching it that action is safe, you keep proving that avoidance works. Each delay strengthens the neural pathway, like walking the same trail in a forest. The more you use it, the clearer it becomes. Eventually, avoidance feels automatic, effort feels threatening, and your potential slowly suffocates, not from lack of ability, but from repeated escape. But if this loop was learned, it can also be retrained. This is not about forcing motivation. It's about rewiring the loop. Here are 5 principles grounded in how your brain actually works. Reduce the task until it feels almost too small. Not write the chapter, just open the document. Not go to the gym, just put on your shoes. The amygdala reacts to perceived intensity. Smaller tasks trigger less threat activation. Lower threat means less avoidance impulse. You're not building discipline. You're lowering neurological resistance. Instead of committing to 1 hour of study, you set a timer for 3 minutes. Once started, momentum often carries you further. But the goal isn't productivity, it's safety. Measure effort, not results. After working, say, I showed up. Not was it good. When identity is tied to outcome, failure threatens self-worth. That amplifies fear circuits. But when identity is tied to behavior, the brain experiences less ego threat. Lower threat equals more consistent action. You publish a video without obsessing over views. The act of posting becomes the win. This weakens the fear response link. Before starting, tell yourself, this will feel uncomfortable. That's expected. Predictive coding theory suggests the brain constantly forecasts experiences. When discomfort is unexpected, it feels dangerous. When it's predicted, it feels manageable. You reduce uncertainty, and uncertainty is what amplifies anxiety. Before a difficult conversation, you acknowledge the tension you'll feel. When it shows up, it doesn't surprise you, so you don't retreat. After taking action, even small action, consciously pause and notice the relief, not from avoiding, but from confronting. Dopamine reinforces what precedes relief. If relief follows avoidance, avoidance strengthens. If relief follows effort, effort strengthens. You are redirecting reinforcement. After finishing 10 minutes of focused work, you stand up, breathe deeply, and internally acknowledge it. You let your nervous system register safety after action. Make avoidance slightly harder. Keep your phone in another room. Use website blockers. Change your environment. Behavioral economics shows that small friction changes behavior dramatically. When escape requires effort, the brain chooses the path of least resistance, which can now be action. You're redesigning your environment, not relying on willpower. You charge your phone outside the bedroom. Suddenly, late-night scrolling drops without inner conflict. Think of your brain like a guard dog. It barks at unfamiliar movement, not because it's evil, but because it's protective. Right now, your guard dog thinks growth is danger. Every time you avoid, you confirm its fear. Every time you act calmly, you retrain it. The real toxic habit isn't laziness. It's unconscious reinforcement of escape, and potential isn't destroyed in dramatic collapse. It fades quietly, through repeated self-abandonment. But here's the shift: you don't need to become fearless. You just need to become familiar with discomfort. Familiarity turns threat into background noise, and when the noise lowers, action becomes normal. There will still be days when you want to delay. That won't disappear. But now, you'll recognize the loop. You'll see the smoke alarm going off, and instead of running from the noise, you'll lower the sensitivity. Gently, repeatedly. Potential isn't unlocked by intensity. It's unlocked by consistency in the presence of discomfort. So the next time you feel the urge to wait, pause and ask yourself, am I protecting myself or practicing escape? That question alone can change the direction of your life.